Have you ever walked into a building and just felt safe? You probably don't even think about it, right? But you're actually surrounded by this unseen shield of security. Today, we're going to pull back that curtain and see how modern buildings are designed not just to stand up, but to actively protect you. Let's get into it. So, if I asked you, how do you make a building safe? What comes to mind? Probably more guards, bigger locks, maybe a ton of cameras. And yeah, sure, those things are part of the equation. But the real story, oh, it's so much cooler than that. You see, when it comes to keeping a place secure, there are really two main schools of thought. On one side, you've got what we could call the fortress approach. Just pile on the tech, more locks, more cameras. But on the other side, there's the architectural approach, which uses smart design to make a space safer from the get-go. And the interplay between these two, that's where things get really interesting. Okay, let's start with the one we're all familiar with, the active shield. This is all about the electronics, the gadgets, the systems that are constantly, watching, controlling, and detecting things. This active security stuff really comes down to three main things. First, you've got access control. That's your digital bouncer, like a key card or a fingerprint scanner, deciding who gets in. Then there's surveillance, the eyes of the operation, your CCTV cameras. And finally, intrusion detection. That's like the building's nervous system, with sensors and alarms that scream when something's not right. So let's look at how a piece of this tech actually works. Take the PIR sensor. Sounds super technical, right? But it's really the unsung hero of motion detection. It's not actually looking for movement. Instead, it's sensing the heat, the infrared energy that your body gives off as you move through a room. In fact, you've probably walked past hundreds of these and never even noticed. It's the exact same tech that flips on the lights in an office bathroom when you walk in. The only difference is, for security, instead of turning on a light bulb, it triggers an alarm. Pretty simple, but totally brilliant. And here's another piece of tech that's just beautifully simple, the magnetic reed switch. It's basically two little magnets. You stick one on the door, one on the frame. When that door is closed, they're happy, they complete a circuit. But the second you open it, the connection breaks. And that tiny, super cheap switch is exactly what tells your alarm system that the perimeter has been breached. It's the first line of defense for literally millions of homes and businesses. It's just so clever. Okay, so that's the high-tech active shield. But what about that other philosophy? Let's dive into the passive shield. This is where architects basically become security experts, using things like space and light and layout to stop crime before it even has a chance to happen. The guiding idea here is a concept with a big name, CPTED, which stands for Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design. The whole theory is that a well-designed space can make potential criminals feel so exposed, so watched, that they just won't risk it. It's about shaping human behavior, not just putting up a bigger fence. This whole idea was made famous by the legendary urbanist Jane Jacobs. Her idea of eyes on the street is the heart and soul of CPTED. Think about it. A street that's lined with windows is naturally being policed by the people inside. That creates a kind of constant, casual surveillance that no camera system could ever hope to match. And once you know about this stuff, you start seeing it everywhere. Those windows facing the street, that's natural surveillance. A low fence or even just a change in the paving stones that subtly says, hey, this is my private space, that's territorial reinforcement. And using bushes and pathways to guide everyone toward a single well-lit main entrance, that's natural access control. And it works without a single gate or guard. So we have the active shield of technology and the passive shield of design. You might think you have to pick a side, right? But the absolute best security is when they work together. And in some cases, they don't just work together, they absolutely have to. Let me give you a classic example, a real dilemma. For security, you put a super powerful magnetic lock on a fire exit to keep intruders out. That's your active shield doing its job. But what happens in a fire? Suddenly, that security measure has become a deadly trap. So what do? This is where that integration is literally a matter of life and death. The solution is just so elegant. The system is designed to fail safe. The instant the building's fire alarm goes off, it immediately kills the power to that magnetic lock. The magnet releases, the door unlocks automatically, and people can get out. That's security and safety working in perfect sync. All right, you've seen how the active and the passive shields work, and you've seen how they have to come together. So, you ready for a quick pop quiz? Let's test your security IQ. Okay, first question. We talked about the real workhorse of motion detection. Which one of these sensors does its job by picking up on the infrared energy? the body heat that a person gives off. If you said C, PIR sensor, you got it. It passively senses the change in heat, which is what makes it so darn efficient. Well done. Okay, last question, and this one is really, really important. Let's go back to that fire door. In an emergency, should that big electronic lock be designed to fail secure, meaning it stays locked, or fail safe, meaning it unlocks? The answer is, of course, B, fail safe. And this is a huge deal. Whenever there's a conflict between security and life safety, safety wins. It has to. The ability to get out of a building in an emergency is absolutely non-negotiable. So, at the end of the day, here's the crucial takeaway. We started this off looking at two different approaches, the fortress versus the architect. But the best security isn't active versus passive. It's active and passive. It's the technology and the design working hand in hand to create a space that's both incredibly smart and incredibly safe. So I'll leave you with this. The next time you walk through an automatic door, or you glance up at a camera, or just see a window that's looking out onto the street, I hope you see it a little differently. Are you just going to see walls and windows? Or are you now going to see the shield,